liberty, justice for all. Okay, roll call. Jennifer, you want to do roll call?
Yep. John Carr,
Here.
Mitch Bishop,
Here.
Marcella Kunstick,
Here.
Jerry Jackson. Not here.
Here.
What?
Did you say Jerry Johnson?
Jerry Jackson,
No.
board member. Not here. Dahlia Zegas,
Present.
Mark Danielson,
Present.
Amanda Laners.
Present.
Okay, have a quorum.
Okay. Approval of minutes from January 20th, 2022.
I have a small correction, if you don't mind. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
And it's just I think a spelling error, but towards the bottom, the word, it says bands, which I think should be bonds. I can try to find it for you.
What page, where are you?
Right towards the end, I'm gonna go, I have all the documents open, so that's kind of crazy, but, all right, page 7, I believe. No, page 6. Page 6, it says Ken did some rough schedules. And then they have forgivable bans, which I thought should have said bonds, but I'm not sure.
Okay. What section of page 6 are you on?
Where it says Ken did some rough schedules, that paragraph that starts with that.
No, I think that's right. Forgivable ban, isn't that right?
Yeah,
It stands for bond anticipation note.
Yeah, that's
There you go.
correct.
Okay, thank you. Then I just needed a clarification. Thank you very
Yep.
much.
So move.
What's your pleasure on the minutes?
So move.
Motion to approve. Yeah, second.
Approve, second. Yep.
Second, Marcella? Okay, so, John Carr,
Yeah.
Mitch Bishop,
Aye.
Marcella Kunstick,
Yes.
Jerry Jackson, he's still not here. If he joined, someone let me know. Dahlia Zegas, Mark Danielson,
Yes.
Amanda Laners.
Yes.
Okay.
Motion passes. Next on the agenda is public comment. Is there anybody for public comment?
Yes.
Go ahead.
We've been, there's a group that's been following your movement on the sewer project.
Can you?
I don't mean to interrupt
Name
you.
and address?
Yeah, thank you.
All right, do I go or no?
I need your name
State
and
your name
address.
Oh, my name's Kevin Flaherty, address 7410 East Point Road.
Go ahead.
All right. We have been following the project. Allegedly, you're at a point where all elements are in place for review. And as shareholders, owners on Hudson Lake, we would look to find out what we need to do as shareholders, stakeholders, to move this forward and push it over the end line. Fiscally, probably the best time to find funding, cheapest rates in history, which are going to head north shortly. And environmentally, we have a lake which is converting to more full-time residents. As a result, septics are stressed, and as a result, most, if not all of the older septics will at some point become defective and potentially pollute the lake. So as a result, what we're looking to do is, what do we need to do to help you make this more palatable and more saleable to all the folks on the lake so this can get done? What do we need to do? Can you give us a list? Can you give us some critical path in terms of what we need to do to be better shareholders?
And I
just want to advise the board, and it's not meant to be a slight to your question, Mr. Flaherty, but it really is public comment. It's not public back and forth or public Q&A.
I asked a question. It's it, and what do we need to do? So it is a question.
Right.
And we're not going to answer it.
But my point is, if you've watched some of these meetings, we all get to be experts on watching meetings on public access. You can kind of devolve into a question answer section, and that's really, public comment is exactly that. It's public comment. It's not public Q&A. And so it's not that we're trying to ignore you. Obviously, if you've watched the board meetings, the board is moving towards the direction of exploring more seriously Hudson and Saugony Lake. It's just
It's going on for 6 years, 7 years now. A little slow, right? It's kind of like watching drying paint.
I'll just, rather than get interrupted again, I'll just advise the board to listen to comments and then move on to the business. And if individual board members want to follow up with anybody, they're more than happy to do that. That's my advice. The board can do as it chooses.
Okay, thanks. Is there any other public comment?
So is there a point
Yes.
of staying on if somebody's interested? I mean, is this a lecture or is this something which is interactive?
No, sir, your comments were taken in, and I appreciate you getting on and making your comments, but that's all they are, is comments.
No.
Is there any other public comment?
Yes. Georgette Joyce.
Please state your name and address.
Georgette Joyce, 7299 East Hudson Point Lane, New Carlisle. And I'll just build a little on Kevin's public comment. And again, we want to do everything we can to help the board move forward with this. And it's important to us, not just for the septics, but we all have our own water that we pull from the ground, and we certainly don't want that contaminated. So again, just throwing our support towards you. And maybe when you address this, there's a way that we could put an agenda item for back and forth with public for this effort, if you can entertain that. But I thank you for all your work to this date. You guys have really been working hard to put together so we can get the grant. Thank you.
Is there any other public comment?
Yes. Hi, this is Tom Lodi, 5522 East Winona, out in Saugony Lake. I'm also the president of one of the homeowner associations out here, and I'd just like to comment that A, I appreciate your efforts, and B, I know that the majority of folks out here in Saugony Lake are behind the sewer project, and so I'll just keep it short. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else under public comment?
Kathy Orenz, 7765 North Spruce Lane. I'm in Hudson Lake. And again, I'm supporting this project. I have rental properties that at some point I would like to sell, but I'm not sure that I can under the current conditions. So a sewer would be a big improvement. Thank you.
Thanks. Is there anybody else under public comment?
Yes, Steve Varela, 7405 East Lakeshore Drive in New Carlisle, Hudson Lake as well. In addition to all the environmental concerns, I'm concerned also about property values and the ability for us just to do basic improvements to our homes, given the complex nature of the building code requirements and space and so forth. So I'm also in favor of this very long project we've been having and would like to see it moved along as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Thanks. Is there anybody else under public comment?
Yeah, one last comment. Is there any way to get some sort of a timeline?
Yeah, that's what we're working on for this meeting.
So at the end of the meeting, you'll have some target date or some movement or some critical path analysis, in which case some folks can get their heads around the direction this is going?
Yeah, I hope so.
Good.
Yeah, I just want to clarify, Mr. Flaherty, I don't think we are going to give you that specific time frame, quite candidly. I mean, this is a huge project, potentially. It's tens of millions of dollars. It isn't going to happen without potentially federal and at minimum state help. There's also at least one piece of legislation pending in the House that may make it more difficult to move forward with any project of this nature. We've got the preliminary engineering report. We've got to submit grants. I mean, Ken Jones, who may be still on the line, or Dan Bynum from JPR could probably give you an idea, but I mean, they could probably give you an idea of best case scenario. In other words, if the board decided to move forward and all the heavens aligned and we got all the grant money we needed, maybe they could indicate, just so the citizens have some idea, but I would imagine pipes wouldn't be going in the ground for a couple of years. But again, Mr. Bynum, Mr. Jones can speak more to that.
Okay, thank you. I've spoken to Ken Jones, and apparently the ball's in your court until you give permission and you agree to that, nothing happens. And in fact, you can't even look for funding or grants. I live in Chicago. I deal with zoning all the time. This is not, and I understand there's some minimal complexities, but this is about a program that is functionally rational, not only fiscally, but environmentally, and the ball is in your court to make an agreement to put this through. And then grants, according to Ken Jones, he can file for grants, money's out there. I've talked to him at length about it. There is a path here. Ball is in your court to make a decision to move forward. This is a political decision, nothing more. There's money out there. We're in a green environment. Loads of Biden bucks out there. There's money being thrown like drunken sailors, and you're telling me that this is that complicated.
Hey, Kevin, how are you? Been a while since we spoke, but this is on the agenda today. Mm-hmm. So if you could stay on the line, the board is going to discuss this topic here in a little bit.
All right, Ken, one last question, and I'm not looking to torture everyone. You know, we've talked for how many years about this. There's a lot of passionate folks. It's the right decision, and you've got a lot of folks behind it willing to do the heavy lifting for you. We've talked about that. We want to be political allies. We want to be good stakeholders. We need information. We need help. We're desperate. We're in a knowledge desert right now, and all we're looking to do is get, and we understand it's not going to overnight. Somebody isn't going to put the pipes in tomorrow. We get all that, but we would like to just get some good rational information. This neighborhood, this community right now, there's a sword of Damocles which is held over every property as a result of the septic, the way the ordinance is drafted, and people frankly can't do anything unless they get some direction. Now, we get more floor area ratio to build, property values come up, more revenue for your community, LaPorte. Everything points in a direction of it's good for the property owners, it's certainly healthy for the lake, and it's great for LaPorte County because as property values go up, we all know there's more of a taxing base and more tax revenue. This is what I'm missing.
Kevin, we have to move on.
Sure.
Public comments, but this is already on the agenda and it'll be discussed because the PER is coming up.
Okay.
So it'll be discussed in the agenda.
One last question.
Just be patient, please. This isn't question and answer, but just be patient until this comes up, okay?
Fair enough.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have anything else under public comment? Anybody else? Okay, moving on to reports. Steve Carter.
Good morning, everyone. We should have January financials for both the Toll Road and Rolling Prairie. Also, just as of note, there are some questions about year-end. Those have been cleaned up. Those are reflected in this report as well. And also, for your information, just so you know, the annual report on Gateway has been prepared. And at some point today, we need to discuss on how that's going to get filed. I think that Tony, it was the only one that had access to review and submit that last year. So we do need to get somebody on there to review it and submit it. I can't submit it. All I have is edit and preparation rights. So anyway, January 2022, Toll Road receipts of $28,488, disbursements $14,229, $65 of interest income, ending balance for the month $401,309.66. Of that amount, $150,283.44 is in the operation and maintenance fund at Horizon Bank checking. The remainder of $251,026.22 is at the Hoosier Fund in an investment account. For Rolling Prairie, for the month of January, we had collections of $19,482, disbursements of $6,297. 32 cents in interest income, and the bond interest payment of $8,486. Ending balance $38,947.19. All of that is held in the operating fund at Horizon Bank.
Any board comments or questions? Moving on, do we need a motion to approve that, or?
I don't think there's necessarily a motion to approve that. Claims also, which do need to be voted on and approved. I made a few modifications to the claims this morning after I got Jennifer's email. I sent that out right before the meeting, so you may or may not have seen it. But claims are now, for your consideration, $33,755.15. The late additions were a USIC bill for locates in the amount of $660, an invoice from Tuscan Valley for snow plow or snow removal of $125, and then from Cardno, $2,436, and that's related to mapping and GIS for the Hudson-Saugatuck Lake project.
We have a motion to approve the claims.
Approve. Sorry.
Second.
Okay, who made the motion? Dahlia? Or Marcy made the
Marcella did, and I'll second it.
Okay. Okay. John Carr?
Yeah.
Mitch Bishop?
Yeah. Yep, same place.
Marcella Kunstick?
Yes.
Jerry Jackson, still not here, right? Okay, sorry.
I'm here.
Oh, you're here now?
I'm here.
Okay.
Moving forward. Okay.
Okay, Dahlia Zegas?
Aye.
Mark Danielson?
Yes.
Amanda Laners?
Yes.
Okay.
Good, motion passes.
Yep.
What's your street again? State Street?
Okay, Asbury Water Technologies.
What was the state?
Yes, Chris Vogler here with Asbury Water Technology. Nothing really to report other than we did get a state inspection.
Okay.
And we passed with a satisfactory.
Yes, good job, Chris.
Excuse me, since I don't know, is satisfactory good, or is it, what's the, I mean, what, do you have two grades, satisfactory and unsatisfactory?
Yes, correct.
All right, so satisfactory is good. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Just a comment to the folks at Asbury. I noticed that the response from IDEM saying that we were satisfactory is still made out to Tony Mancuso as president. We probably ought to do whatever we need to do to get that changed to the current president.
Okay.
Or maybe if it has to be addressed to the president, I guess that'll be an ever-changing name, but otherwise we could have it addressed to maybe Jennifer at JPR. It's up to you, Chris.
I think it's just, we just got to change names. How often do they change presidents? How often are we going to do that?
Well, they could do it every year, theoretically, unless this board dupes someone into continuing to be president year after year.
That's what I was wondering about with the gateway too, if we should do something like that. Because I'm gonna have to call them, even on the SRF payments when I process them. I put Mitch Bishop on there, but they still send everything back with Tony's name on it. So sometimes I just think they don't.
Well, they're not going to change it
that way.
What if we try to do it with Jennifer and then whatever happens, then she's going to still give it to Mitch or John or whoever it is. She's still going to go through the process. So I guess what we try to do is, if everybody agrees, just try to have Jennifer on there, and then she'll pass it to the proper party.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll see if I can make that happen.
Any other questions, comments? Raspberry? Okay, moving on to JPR.
Nothing more than what you have in your report there. We had a few liens we filed, and those are the ones that had the $150 fee for the filing fee. Then we got in a few more inspection fees. Other than that, that's it.
All
Any other questions?
questions for JPR? Okay. Do we need a motion to approve, or?
Well, I do have the one question on the billing where we got, I had sent this out for the property that keeps saying they're not connected and don't have anything at their addresses. And he keeps calling and asking about it. He says there's no house at this address on Michigan Street. It was tore down in 2020. And then he says that this other one on Depot Building is, I don't know what this says, is connected or something. The sewer hookup is at 6 Depot. So it's paid on another account. So he has one building connected to another building through there. But I need to get some answers on this because this guy's getting frustrated. I think I had emailed some of you about this, and we need to check on this.
Who can confirm that?
Didn't we spoke about that at the executive session?
Yeah.
Was one of us supposed to go out there and take a look at that?
Yeah, was it to determine whether or not there was a house on the property?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. If it was me, I got the ball.
And then he's saying the one address is connected to the other building, so he shouldn't have to pay for this one. So, I don't know how we do that, but we have to come up with some kind of a ordinance or policy regarding this kind of property.
Is it a single parcel or is it two parcels?
Well, I don't know. I think it's two different parcels, because otherwise why would we send two different bills?
What was the address again? I'm sorry.
I can check.
Yeah, I mean, because I don't think our ordinance permits common sewers.
Right.
I sent you the bills. Did you guys look at them in your emails?
Jennifer, I don't have our use ordinance nor the statute in front of me or committed to memory, but I seem to recall if there's no structure whatsoever, that's one thing. But I don't know that there's any provision for any type of shared billing if there are actually two freestanding structures that, I don't know the lay of the land out there. I guess we need to know, are they on different tax ID numbers? Are they actually independent structures, meaning two homes or a home and a...
Apparently they're two different buildings. I'll dig into it further and we can discuss it further, but also, we can't, the other part of that is we need to start looking into preparing something and having some kind of an ordinance, because if people start tearing down a bunch of homes, there's still a debt service that they're going to owe. we can't just say, okay, the bill goes away, because this rate was based on a certain number of EDUs. So there's still a responsibility for some of that to be paid. And that's what districts have learned, that once, you know, they are counted, that they have to look at that. And if homes start being torn down, and they can't just always dismiss the full bill. So that's something probably the executive committee or somebody needs to review and look at.
Yeah, I guess I'm going to ask the group, because I'm not familiar with it. And how do other sewer districts handle this same thing?
Just like I was just mentioning, that if you are in the district and you are counted and you then tear down your home, you would still be responsible for that debt service because you were counted.
Okay. Well,
not the whole bill, but the debt service portion.
Why don't I, between now and the next meeting, why don't I take a look at, as a starting point, Jennifer and Mark, let me review our sewer use ordinance as well as some surrounding sewer use ordinances, as well as the actual, I mean, there's language regarding things like exemptions and hookups in the actual enabling statute in the state. So if there's nothing in there, then I agree completely with Jennifer. We need to then come up with a policy.
Yeah.
But there may be some guidance already out there. And so I don't want us to come up with a policy that might fly in the face of the ordinance or the state statute.
Okay.
So.
What was the address again with the common sewer?
8 South Depot and 6 South Depot.
Okay.
He's saying that his 8 South Depot bill that he started receiving is hooked up to 6 South Depot.
Okay.
Okay.
That does look like it's 2 buildings connected on one parcel. It's one parcel ID for those addresses.
Okay. Thank you, Amanda. So that would probably be a valid one to delete if they're on one parcel.
Which property is supposedly there's no dwelling on it?
It would be 106 East Michigan Street.
Okay.
And he says it was torn down in 2020.
So somebody's going to put eyes on that so we can figure out what to do?
Which I think that is tore down.
Okay.
But again, you know, I think it's probably too late we can do anything with this one, but
okay,
you know, that is something we have to look at in the future to be prepared for.
And then perhaps we can discuss it at the next meeting, like Barry said, you know, as far as how we want to move forward. But will somebody go to East Michigan so we can confirm?
Yeah, I'll get up there. And I'll look at 6, 8, and 6. If I mentioned that in our executive session, I apologize.
Thanks, Mitch. Thanks, Jerry.
I'll get it done.
And so now, because it's on the same parcel for the other ones, are we okay with them and delete this other bill? Or are we just still looking at it just to double check?
I think we ought to wait till the next meeting before we make that decision.
Okay. I just want to let him know we're checking into it because he's been asking and I don't want to upset him anymore. So, okay. I think I have a couple more, but I will look them up and we'll bring them to the board.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Anything else under JPR?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Oh.
Moving on.
Wait,
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. I do have one other thing. We already approved it in the claims, but I wanted to bring to your guys' attention the spreadsheet for the major moves payments. Did you guys take a look at that to see it, the repayment?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the monthly amount is for 183 connections now. We don't have all of them connected, obviously. But are you guys all right with paying that? Or I didn't know if you wanted to pay as they're connected. You know, I mean.
I think originally when that agreement was approved, it was meant to be as the home is connected, we are to pay more. So
Okay, well, you've been paying $750 a month, every month, and you only had 43 connections.
that's true.
So I'm just asking, that's why I didn't know, was part of why I was wondering how you wanted to do it.
You know, I might suggest for the board to consider just leaving it at the increased number that Jennifer put. It probably still will never be paid off in our lifetime, obviously. I forget what the amortization schedule, but I want to say it was 100 years or something unbelievable. So I think any bit of effort and goodwill we throw at the county council will only come back to help us as we move forward on projects, whether they be Hudson, Saucony, or 421, 300, any of the other projects moving forward. I would think from a goodwill standpoint, it looks like we can probably afford it right now. And I think and from an accounting standpoint, it would be pretty difficult. We'd have to change that amount every month as new people tap in. So that would be my 2 cents worth for the board's consideration.
Steve likes that. Actually, I like that too. I don't have to figure it out every month, but is that okay with the board, or do you guys, what would the board like? Are you guys okay with that set amount?
I'm okay with our attorney's suggestion.
Yes.
Yeah. Do we need to make a vote on that, or?
I already did it, so I don't know. You guys already approved the 2 payments, so.
Okay, we're good then.
Okay. Let's see what else I did for you.
Do you do windows? Yeah, sorry. Sorry.
Okay. I think that might be it so far, but I'll chime in when I need to.
Thank you.
Thanks. Phase 2 update?
Hey guys, not too much of an update on phase 2 since the project's done. Actually, in the agenda, I see use of remaining funds and SRF communications are both separate items on there. In all honesty, that's really one item. In that last month we spoke with SRF and had a pretty good discussion with them. Ken, would you be able to sort of update a little bit on that?
Sure. So the purpose of that meeting, we had 2 calls with them. We called and talked to Camille Miner, who is the project manager for SRF on this project, and discussed the concept of using remaining funds, or part of the remaining funds, to support a homeowner connection grant program. Surprisingly enough, she said, yes, we should consider that. And then we followed up with another meeting where we had another couple people from SRF on the phone, and they advised that we, because the funds for Rolling Prairie were taken from a couple different buckets, one of those buckets allows us to be more flexible with the use of those remaining funds. And so they're encouraging us to develop a program that we can offer the property owners. We would want to share that with them in writing, with SRF in writing, to make sure they concur, and then we could offer it out to the property owners. I have a very quick outline. I haven't put it in writing yet. It's pretty simple. And this would be kind of what SRF would expect for us to do with any remaining funds, but mostly it's making sure that we account for how that money is spent, and that it's spent appropriately, and also subsequent to approval by the SRF program. So we would say that the best way to do this would be to direct the property owners, or advise the property owners to contract and complete the work, including the inspection of their connection to the district's sewer lateral. Following that, they complete an application that we develop that is basically an application for reimbursement and it would need to include the invoices from the contractor, and then those probably in batches, or hopefully not one at a time, but in batches, would come back to the district board to approve for payment. Based on maybe Jennifer's recommendation that they were completed and appropriate. And then the district would submit those claims to SRF incrementally, and then funds would be transferred to the district, and then the district would issue reimbursement check to each property owner that applied. When the funds are spent down, we'll be obligated to provide complete accounting and record for SRF's records, and of course we want it in ours as well. So it'd be pretty simple. When talking to SRF, they felt, as we do, that really the only way to do this equitably is to determine what the amount of the remaining funds are that the district would set aside for this purpose, and then develop a flat rate grant that would be available for each property owner that applied. So it would not be based on their total cost. It would not be based on their income demographic. It would only be based on them saying, we would like a reimbursement for whatever amount that is. So in the case of this scenario, I know Dan has been talking to Jerry about the potential for adding a few components to the wastewater lift stations. I'm not sure if that work is already done or what, but whatever the remaining funds are, I would just recommend you simply divide it by the number of folks that are connecting, currently obligated to connect, and offer that to them. The one question that you'll have to deal with are, what about the people that connected in phase one? I think that ship has sailed, so to speak, and I don't think there's any way that they could actually even provide the required paperwork for us to even process it. So at least that's my feeling anyway, and the board might feel different about that. But the other thing that the SRF was very concerned about was that, this batch of funding was specific to a group of beneficiaries, and those were the folks that were not connected and would be, basically be part of phase two, not necessarily phase one.
How many houses are we talking on phase two? Is it 140 or 100? I forget. How many homes? If they were 100% hooked.
I'm not sure I can answer that. Jennifer or Dan, maybe?
Yeah, I'm pulling it up. 1 second.
Okay.
Right. $122.
122. Okay. And we have what? Roughly 180,000.
No, we have 152,000.
152. Okay.
And Dan, do you have a budget for adding the
Gary stuff?
Flushing mixers?
I do, yeah.
Is that 152 only the people in phase two?
The 122, you mean? Yes, it's only phase two.
And again, I think we're constrained to limit the grant program to the phase two customers, even though it might not seem fair to the phase one customers that never connected. But I think the issue here is that, we procured funds for the beneficiaries in phase two, not necessarily for phase one. And I think SRF is going to have some heartburn if we try to use that money outside of that project.
How much, Dan, how much was the, Mitch, how much was the total that Jerry needed? Is it
It's 10,000.
10,000?
Yep. And we have a firm quote from Xylem Pumps for that amount.
Is that installed?
Yes, that's installed.
So I'm seeing, just off the top of my head, seems like $1,000 a house would be a good number.
And so, for the board's benefit, this would apply to those that have already completed their connection as well. We don't have that many of them, but, you know, we would want to make sure they understood that, hey, if you can put the paperwork together and your inspection is complete, you're eligible for this, so turn it in. So, and we could work with Jennifer to develop a very simple application. And they could do that even online if they felt like that was appropriate.
I think it's great.
Yeah,
I think our extra money, and that, you know, makes more sense than, in my mind, fixing up that old laboratory. So, at this juncture, anyway.
How are we for payment on our SRF loan? Are we in the kind of shape we're not worried about, you know, getting people hooked up quickly to get funds coming in to make payments? Or should we hold some money on the backside to make sure we can make payment on the loan?
Well, we can't use that money for payment anyway.
We can't, okay.
No.
That's something that we can't do. So
okay.
If we don't, Jerry, if we don't spend it down, then we have to send it back.
Gotcha.
Yep.
I have a question. Is there like an average number of what each homeowner paid to hook up?
No, Dahlia, every single one of them is going to be different. And, you know, we try to, you know, encourage people to, the only way you're going to know that is to get a contractor to quote it. And, but here's my overarching opinion. I have never worked with a district that has done this. This is the first time ever in my career. And it's the first time ever that I've heard of SRF allowing it. So there's a lot of firsts that have been part of this project, as far as I'm concerned. And so I think the board has a lot to be proud of overall, being able to pull this project off with the way, you know, with the level of debt you came out the other side with, and then having funds left over, and then being able to offer a grant to the property owners for hooking up. It's incredible. I've never seen this.
So do we need board action on that, or?
I think if the board would direct us to prepare the application, it would be great if the board could authorize the executive committee to approve the application, so we can, and then authorize the executive committee to launch the program to the property owners. That way we're not waiting a whole nother month to get it done.
In addition to that, I think we'll have to have some sort of approval to march forward with putting a PER amendment together to submit to SRF. I'm expecting they're going to want some sort of formal amendment to the PER showcasing this.
Yeah, I think it's probably a letter, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, that's all it's going to be.
Yeah.
I would recommend that the board, I mean, we can get through a lot of this, Ken, I think today. I mean, the board probably ought to, if they think this is a good idea and a good use of the funds, they can, that's part of the motion, that they want to do this. I think the second part of the motion would be specifically stating the amount of homes, just so there's absolutely no confusion, unless there's the potential for additional homes that we haven't factored, or, I mean, I guess you'd want to leave that leeway, but otherwise you need to, I think, prove it in concept, approve who's getting the reimbursement, and I think the board could just as well decide on an amount at this meeting And then you're right, authorize the executive committee to do whatever cleanup work after the fact.
Yeah, Barry, if they could do all of that today, then the only thing we'd need to do is have the executive committee approve the application form.
And just so I'm clear, this money that we're talking about, the 152, we are sure that our building is, our plan is fine. We're making a little $10,000, or not a little, but a $10,000 improvement at Dan's recommendation. And then that will be, the 152 is before the 10,000, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And Marcy, just to be clear, even if we had something at the wastewater plant that was needed, we could not spend these funds there.
Okay.
That project, that facility was not part of the project.
Good to know. Thanks. Thank you. Yeah, I think I'm good with it. I don't know everybody else. I mean, I think it's good.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is something we need to take advantage of.
And I think the board, I mean, again, one of the things I think about as your attorney is moving forward. And I think, again, to be able to toot your own horn about doing this project at such a, honestly, reduced cost to the homeowners, given the amount of free money that we got. And now above and beyond that, to be able to actually reimburse them is, it's a great story as we move forward to other projects, I think, which is kind of, I think, what Ken was saying as well.
Let's hope so, Barry.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be, it's not going to be the panacea. I know.
Right. Yeah.
Now it's all we need is a $20 million grant.
Right. For the rest of Saucony and Hudson. Yes, we do. Okay. Well, let's move forward with this so we can get the ball rolling.
Yeah, so do we have a motion?
I make the motion.
So we need two motions, is that correct?
Well, I think it depends. You can do them individually. I think the board could certainly have some discussion as well about an amount. I mean, I think that Mitch suggested we've got 142,000 left after the remaining work, and 122 homes at $1,000 per home. That's a nice round number, and it gives us a little wiggle room.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Because remember, if I'm doing all this, there's going to be costs associated with that as well. So I'm just throwing that out there.
Well, and that leaves $20,000 for whatever may come up.
Well, that should be a problem. Jennifer only gets paid $4 an hour.
I know.
We
I've
got
been
plenty.
begging for years.
That's on you, Ken.
Now, Ken, we see the JPR invoice, right?
Yeah, but that goes to him, not me.
Jennifer, we got to talk.
I know.
Well,
I
would think we need, if someone can take the bold move of making a motion, that we implement and use the funds for this, and what that amount would be per homeowner, I think that gets Ken the ability to start working on the forms that can be reviewed by myself and the executive committee, and we can dive right in.
Okay. RC, did you make that motion?
I did initially, and
Okay. So we have a motion authorizing executive committee to approve the
If I could, Jennifer, I would say the motion ought to be approval of the board to use the remaining funds for a grant program to the Phase 2 owners in the flat amount of $1,000 per owner if they are eligible after review of the documentation.
I'll pick that up on the recording afterwards.
I figured.
Yeah. So is that Marcy's motion?
yes, that is my motion.
I'll second that motion.
Okay.
So that's Marcy's motion and seconded by who? Mitch?
Yeah.
Mitch. Okay, so we're going to do a roll call for this. Then we're going to come back and do the amendment for the PER, correct? That's the second part? that we were talking about, I think?
Yes.
Okay. John Carr,
Aye.
Mitch Bishop,
Aye.
Marcella Kunstick,
Yes.
Jerry Jackson,
Aye.
Delia Zegas,
Aye.
Mark Danielson. Mark, unmute you. Mark Danielson?
There he goes.
Mark Danielson?
Yes.
Amanda Laners?
Aye.
There you have it.
All right. Nice.
Okay. Now we need the motion to amend the PER. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
To reflect this, yeah, reimbursement, yeah. I'll make the motion to amend the PDR for Rolling Prairie Sewer Project.
Got a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay. John Carr?
Yes.
Mitch Bishop?
Aye.
Marcella Kunstick?
Yes.
Jerry Jackson?
Aye.
Delia Zegas?
Aye.
Mark Danielson?
Aye.
Amanda Laners?
Aye.
Okay.
All right.
There we have it.
Now we
Yeah.
have.
So that's all cleaned up, right?
It is, yes.
We're having a
Okay.
I'm having a hard time hearing you, John.
All right, next item under phase 2 update is City of LaPorte.
Right. So a couple of weeks ago, I got a call from Jerry, and he indicated that we've had some issues with matting forming at the 350 East lift station owned by the district. Basically, what's happening is likely some form of fats, oils, and grease or something is building up in the wet well, creating a solid mat. And what it's doing is resulting in having issues with pump floats operating properly, and it's resulting in the city having to come in with a vector on a weekly basis to pull that mat out of the wet well. So this is going to get very expensive very quickly if it isn't addressed. And we recently had experience with another client of ours that installed a mixed flush valve system that's proprietary by Flight Pumps, who's the same manufacturer as the pumps in the 350 East and Hatfield lift stations. And what this is it's a small attachment that connects onto the volute of the pumps, and under the pump zone hydraulics jets the wet well after every pump cycle and breaks that mat up so that it gets sucked into the pumps and pushed downstream. I actually have already taken the liberty to have Xylem, the provider of this item, provide a quote for us. And we got a quote for $9,326.20 for 2 mixed flush valves installed, one for Hatfield and one for 350 East. That includes freight charges and installation on each of those 2. I have not heard back from them on lead times or how quick they could get up here to do it. I could reach back out to them to figure that out. But if we're looking at getting this approved for use of remaining funds, we either have to do this, pay for it with district operating funds, and then file for reimbursement through the PER amendment, or we wait until after the PER amendment's approved to make this work happen.
Yeah, but how detrimental is it that we get it done right away?
Well, if we don't get it right away, these service charges for vectoring the station weekly are going to rack up big time. Jennifer, what did you say they're coming in at?
If you guys looked at the City of LaPorte invoice, you'll see it's $350 each time they have to go out there and do this.
Yeah.
So on the invoice, January 19th, they had to go to Hatfield lift station and the 350 East station, and it was $350 each.
Yeah.
So there's $700 in one day. And when Dan and I were out there last week, they were basically going out there at least once a week.
Okay.
So I haven't got the most current bill, but you can see this is quickly adding up. So I don't think we have time to wait. We need to order it, get it in, and then do a reimbursement.
Yes.
I agree. We're going to spend more money cleaning the wet wells than we will on this equipment. So I would recommend we order it as quickly as possible.
Yeah. And is that a motion? Is that a motion?
So moved.
I've already gotten it. I've already gotten it. It's already been approved verbally by SRF also that they'll consider that eligible for reimbursement. So it's just a matter of filing the probably filing the paid invoice when we get it as part of the PER amendment. I should also state that this exact item installed at our other client's system has completely resolved their matting issue. It's no longer a problem there.
Second the motion.
Dan, can you send me a copy of the the proposal or cost or whatever?
The quote, sure.
Yeah, the quote. Please. Okay, so I got a motion from Jerry, second from Mark.
Yep.
A motion to approve the flush valve installed and reimbursed by SRF funds. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yep.
John Carr,
Yes.
Mitch Bishop,
Aye.
Marcella Kunstick,
Yes.
Jerry Jackson,
Aye.
Dahlia Zegas. Aye. Mark Danielson,
Aye.
Amanda Laners.
Aye.
Is that an aye?
Aye,
Okay. All right. I think that's it. Now we're up to new business, sorta.
All right, motion carries.
Yes.
Who's ready to go forward?
We're on to new business here. PER Hudson Saucony Lake. So as
You want me to take that, Dan, real quick?
sure, if you will.
Okay, so as some of the board knows, some of the board members, if not all the board members knows that we have been advancing the completion of the funding pre-qualification preliminary engineering report for the Hudson Saucony Lake project. That work has reached final draft, and so now we have a couple different choices relative to that. We can, and just so you know, if the project is going to proceed in fiscal year 23, the SRS fiscal year 23, the filing deadline for the application and the completed PER is May 1st. However, we always recommend that if we've advanced the project to the point where it's at a state of completeness that's adequate for submittal, that we submit that as soon as possible, and to try to get that review started before the people at SRF or USDA get a flood of applications. So, and by the way, would recommend that this project be considered for a dual funding track through USDA and through the State Revolving Loan Fund. So we have prepared the preliminary engineering report to meet the USDA guidelines, which will automatically meet the State Revolving Loan Fund guidelines. The reason that we're recommending that is because we have had some good success recently maximizing the benefits of both programs, where the USDA allows for a infrastructure grant that can be stretched out over 40 years. Right now, their interest rate is incredibly low. We know it's going to take a bump up here very shortly, but it's still not going to be unaffordable. It's still going to be in the affordable range. And then in a recent project, we were able to secure a significant grant and long-term low-interest loan from USDA, and then a gap closing funding from the State Revolving Loan Fund that included additional grant and additional loan, and to kind of cover the gap. And they seem to encourage districts to look at this dual funding opportunity for projects where rates are going to be significant without the subsidization, and where the project cost is significantly high per unit. So that would be a good description of this project. So we have not had a pre-filing meeting with them yet on this project. At least I don't believe we have. I don't recall we're doing it. We've done so many of them recently. We haven't. I don't believe we've done that yet, have we, Dan? So here, no, okay. But what we would propose on this project would be to look at a filing in April, the first week of April. That would provide some time if you chose to conduct a public hearing prior to filing. It's not absolutely critical that you conduct a public hearing prior to filing. We recommend it, however, to have the most complete PER when it is developed and submitted. So if you were to consider this project for the fiscal year 23, that means a couple things. Number one, we would submit, and we would know sometime in July that whether we were on the project priority list, and then therefore eligible for it from SRF anyway, potential for subsidization. But we probably wouldn't know exactly what it would look like until sometime in August. And that kind of fits the timeline with USDA, where we would be looking at a letter of obligation sometime in August or September for a project that would be constructed or begin construction in 23.
First part or the middle or the end of 23?
We would be proposing to design through the winter of 22, 23, and put the project out to bid in the spring of 23, and start construction sometime, probably mid-summer to late summer of 23.
Remind me, how many hookups are there in Saucony and Hudson Lake? Wasn't it 900,000, something like that?
And just over 1,100.
Okay.
No, just over 1,000.
Okay. Well,
so the project, this project absolutely needs subsidization, and we feel it hits the sweet spot for both agencies relative to the septic system elimination qualifier and the potential for providing a permanent solution for the sustainability of the homes plus protection of the drinking water supply and of course the surface water resource. And it hits the sweet spot, that's for sure. The other thing that I would probably remind you of is that, you know, one of the reasons that, you know, we were able to do the deal with Rolling Prairie is because we always knew that the wastewater plant at Rolling Prairie would provide us a good anchor, and it is, for providing additional service to this community, to the Hudson-Saugony Lake community. So it's a project that probably fits your mission, I suppose, and I would agree that funding for this project probably won't be more attractive than any other time in the future, I think. You know, in talking to the SRF, they're telling us that they're well funded for 5 years. But there are a lot of people seeking these funds. USDA is refunded every year. The level of cost for this project, however, will probably be obligated through their federal, program out of Washington, as opposed to the state of Indiana. This project would exceed their funding limit.
Forgive me if I'm asking a question that you guys have already discussed. I apologize for dropping off. Did you guys discuss, is there any grant money out there for us at all?
That's what they were talking about.
Yeah, Marcy, both of these programs, the USDA Rural Development Program and the State Revolving Loan Fund Program provide subsidization. And they have been focused on rates to rural communities. And their goal is to achieve a rate that is comparable to other communities that are similar in income demographic and similar in need and that kind of thing. And we can tell you from recent experience that we saw them make a commitment in a project that's about twice as big as this project here recently, where they were doing exactly that. Without their help, we would have never gotten there.
Ken, remind me, but I think we asked this question at the last meeting, and again, I'm not, what was a budget that we were talking? I thought I heard 30 million last time.
Yeah, the current PER has the project estimated at 34 million. And so this is because of that the cost and how it would be proportioned to that group of property owners. This would definitely be a project that would require subsidization at a significant level to achieve the SRF and USDA's target rate, which is in the $80 to $85 a month range. As a comparison, just for your information, when we started looking at Hudson and Saugony Lakes, we were actually retained by the property owners groups, and the cost was, I don't know, 35 to 40% less than what we're seeing today. And that was in 2013.
Yeah.
So.
I have a question about this project and our other projects going forward, if we have any in the near future, and what House Bill 1245 will bring us if that goes through today, or if that is a discussion for another time.
House Bill 1245, which is, I'm not sure at what status it is at this point, or how it's been changed. and maybe Barry knows more about this than I do. I haven't looked at this in a couple of weeks, Barry. Can you give us an update?
Yeah, and again, I don't profess to be an expert on this because, I mean, as an attorney, though we watch pending legislation, we become a little more interested when it actually becomes law. But it certainly, and Ken truly, since he's in this every day, probably can give a better summary, but it basically would make it more difficult, depending on the project, to fund because it gives it hampers the ability of, whether it be a district or a municipal sewer system, the ability to pass on some of the construction costs to the end user, which of course every project probably does, unless a district or a sewer district has that much money that they just pay for improvements. So that would be a problem if it impacted that. And it also creates a wider range of exemptions so that people don't have to tap into the new system. That's maybe a bad summary, but what I do know, Ken, is I think there was public hearing last Thursday. I know for a fact the town of Long Beach sent down some folks to testify because this truly would affect a project that they're on the cusp of starting to bring sewers along Lakeshore Drive. I believe today, Ken, may be a date that they may have for votes and amendments, either today or tomorrow. So it's moving. I mean, it passed the House unanimously. Now it's in front of, and I think maybe the Senate is now voting, I think is what's going on today or tomorrow. I don't know, though, have there been any amendments made to it? Has it been softened? Have there been, carve-outs for different, that I don't know, Ken. I tried last night to look and see if you could see online any potential amendments, but I couldn't find anything.
I'll take a look today. The last time I reviewed it, someone asked us for comment, and I think it was somebody from the Indiana Rural Water Association asked us to comment on it, and I wrote some comments back to them. But the version I looked at previously, Amanda, was it did make it more difficult for districts to apply a penalty for non-connection, but it didn't circumvent the ability for a property owner to be billed for the service regardless of whether they connected. And so it's been our experience that, in most districts, the amount of leniency on assessing a penalty for non-construction or for non-connection has been significant. I mean, people, they avoid it because they don't want to have that relationship with the customer. What they can't avoid is billing them for the service regardless of whether they're using it or not, because they have debt. And that debt is something that the legislature can't get the rural districts out of. And they have to do it to be able to build the projects. So, and the fact of the matter is, we already know that regional sewage districts can't force the sale of a home due to an unpaid debt, regardless of whether it's matured to a lien or not. And I mean, this just can't be done anymore. It used to be, but not anymore. So we didn't necessarily see, and our focus is on, can, if something like this were to go into place, can a district pay its bills? That is what we're concerned about. And that's what funding agencies would be concerned about. So what I think I'll do today, later today, I'll dig back into that and see how it's evolved. And I know that the Indiana Rural Water and the Indiana Regional Sewage District Association are heavily involved in this dialogue. And we'll find out what everyone is saying at this point. So
the attorney for AIM is very involved, Rebecca McQuaid. She and I have had conversations back and forth. I could send you her contact because she's been involved in negotiations. She might be a good source.
That'd be great. That'd be great. And the Carson LP, which is a group that we work with, they specialize in the representation of rural utility districts. They're out of Fort Wayne. They're keeping tabs on it too, so I can have a conversation with one of the lawyers over there as well. But so here's one thing to think about though. Moving forward with the filing of this PER does nothing more than qualify you for funding. It doesn't obligate you to take the funding. It doesn't even obligate you to do the project. What it does is determine whether there's a program, a funding model that is attractive enough to the board to proceed with the project. And there's only one way we can find that out, and that's to submit this preliminary engineering report and conduct the application process. So we won't know until sometime in July of next year, and possibly even all the way through to September, what the financing package looks like. From a formal standpoint, we'll know ahead of that time as to what what is going to be recommended. So the risk to the district at this point in time is pretty minimal, other than the fact that it will obviously attract attention. It has before, and these projects always do. The good thing about it is that doesn't last forever, and if the project goes forward, it'll get built, and you'll fulfill another portion of your mission.
Ken, just so I can ask, did I just hear you say that we can go ahead and proceed with this? That doesn't mean we still have to take it.
Exactly, Mark. And what you're, so here's a couple different, here's another scenario. Let's say we put this project in the hopper with the funding agencies, and the result isn't to the level that the board feels comfortable proceeding. We could wait and insert the project in the next round of funding. You understand what I'm getting to? We keep the project active, looking to understand what is going to be the best possible outcome. I know that right now across the state, what's happening is the costs of projects are going up, and the funding level is at a better level than it's ever been in my career, and so a lot of projects are fighting for and aggressively competing for a good level of subsidization. The one thing that SRF is telling us, and USDA is telling us, is that they're in good condition, and they expect this funding availability to last for the next 5 years. But I wouldn't count on that. A presidential election could change that. So
I think from my standpoint, I think we should just move forward with this portion of it.
Yeah.
Well,
you don't have any risk at this point.
No.
And that's the good part. I truly believe that this is needed. The only thing that because I'm a new board member, is I am just very cautious.
Sure.
On we just got done doing Rolling Prairie, and we have 122, 148, and we're jumping up to 1,100 people in a year and a half, and I just don't have a good grasp on how we can handle that, because I don't think I have enough experience of what's going on with Rolling Prairie. How much more staff is that going to take? How much more money? And with the bill, but if we need to proceed and we still don't have, it's not too much of a, I hate to say not liability, but we can still do some research and do some thought process. I agree with that.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think we can judge go or no go on this project till we know what the costs are per homeowner, per the district, and this would get us in to that point, I think.
Yeah, this is the process. You know, one of the things that you want to do, though, when this is submitted, you definitely want the funding agencies to understand that the district is serious about building it. You don't want to necessarily telegraph that you know that you don't believe in the project, or you don't that you want to make sure they understand that you're committed to moving forward with the project, even if it means that you couch that with saying, if we can develop a appropriate funding model for the community. And so it's important to make sure that they know that you're committed, because they'll ask, believe me. John and others will be on the phone with those folks when we talk to them, and they'll ask that very question.
Well, I think all of us are very interested in moving forward. It's just the price tag is a little intimidating, and and then not to mention we have to meet with the members, right? The people, the taxpayers, the residents, and we have to sit down and have meetings with them to ensure everybody's
So the approval of the PER does require the conducting of a public hearing. We did the same for Rolling Prairie. We had it over in the
VFW
hall, I think, and we could do, we could schedule something similar to that. And actually, I think even at that meeting, the only people that complained were people that weren't in the project, as I remember it.
There's all Hudson Lake and Saudi Lake people complaining about Rolling Prairie initially.
It was. So they'll be showing up. Yeah. So all you positives, come to the meeting.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and part of that is tough, but the fact of the matter is that every project that proceeds where these kind of things, these kind of infrastructure projects get built are subject to that, and I don't think there's any doubt that the people at Hudson Saguenay Lake have any understanding that the board has ever turned away from this project. I think they still know it's out there. And we'll have we did some public meetings with the homeowners out in the community, and those were interesting. Yeah, there was a lot of folks that had some negative things to say, but there was also a lot of folks that had positive things to say. And it just so happens that the negative people are louder.
Yeah.
I'd like to say that, this seems like an opportunity that we can't pass up, because the price is not going to go down in the future. The price of money is not going to go down. And thanks to Ken for putting all these parts together so that we could probably do it again for the least amount of expense for us. So I'm very much in favor of going forward.
And Mark, one thing I can tell you is that these projects, there are other districts that make this significant jump in customer base, and these projects are designed to be self-funded, not only for the cost of construction and building the assets, but also in the care of the assets. And so by adding the group of ratepayers that you're going to add, we will be adding funds sufficient to operate the system completely. And there are a couple different ways that can happen. You have a relationship with the city of LaPorte. I'm not sure that the city of LaPorte would want to take on a low pressure sewer of this size, 6.5 or 7 miles from their city limits. But there are other resources, including the company that Chris works for. And so
that's part of my problem, Ken, is I just don't know all the pieces, and I hate to go, I guess I'm a little conservative, and but if you tell me that this is the first step and that if we still don't like what we hear, we don't have to take this, but I still think it's needed. But I just have a hard time not knowing all the pieces. I feel very comfortable with yourself and everyone else that we have on the board that we could manage this. But is that a year away or 2 years away? So I'm being very cautious right now.
I don't blame you, and that's just good and prudent thinking as far as I'm concerned. But we feel 100% confident that we can guide the district into these projects with as little pain as possible, other than the fact that you will have to deal with residents that may not be so happy with you. And aside from that, all I got to do is give Jennifer a raise up to $8 an hour, and then she can just do more work. Yeah.
Hey, Jennifer, you've been real quiet during this whole time.
I just want my $8.
I want to help you renegotiate your contract.
Thanks.
With that,
No, there's an opening here in LaPorte.
Really?
All right, there's enough of that.
So do we need to make a motion to move forward with this?
I'll make that motion. I like to make a motion to engage JPR to perform a PER, preliminary engineering report, to USDA and SRF for potential sewer and water loan or grant.
Second.
Isn't it, just to clarify, isn't it just sewer?
Just sewer.
Yeah.
Just sewer, I'm sorry.
Okay, we got a second. Marcy?
Marcy?
Okay, roll call.
John Carr?
Yes.
Mitch Bishop?
Aye.
Marcella Kunstick?
Yes.
Jerry Jackson?
Aye.
Delia Zegas?
Aye.
Mark Danielson?
Aye.
Amanda Laners?
I
Approved.
Okay, so the only other question I would have is, I would go ahead and schedule and advertise the public hearing and conduct the public hearing. And what we could do is, if you guys are okay with it, maybe your executive committee can work with us, because we need to find a place to hold the public hearing. I honestly feel like, your regular meeting venue in LaPorte would probably do it. We'd fill the room up for sure, but there's, and you can have this public hearing, by the way, anytime you want. It's not constrained to an evening or otherwise. You can do it any way you want to, including on, before or prior to or after your normal meeting. And we just need to be able to advertise it and get it out there. And I would say, at some point in time, that's got to occur as part of the process. We cannot, the PER is not complete until the record of public hearing is included in the appendix.
That helps us basically to make the next step, is what you're telling me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yes, it does.
Let's do it.
So are you then making a recommendation that the executive committee get together with you and do some planning for this?
Yeah, I feel like, the board needs to think about, when we did Rolling Prairie, we did have it in the evening. The board was still meeting, at 9:00 in the morning on, the third Thursday of every month at that time. But we had the meeting in the evening, and we had the meeting in the evening so they could absolutely feel confident that anybody that had a comment could attend. And I guess, even though, this board is finding it convenient to convene during the day, you could still meet at night. And by the way, at the public hearing, there will be no decisions made, no vote taken. So the entire board does not even have to attend it.
Yeah. Why don't we just make a motion that the executive committee at a certain time gets with Ken and go through the details?
Sounds good.
I guess that's a motion.
Yep.
Do we need?
Second?
Barry, are you okay with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, roll call.
John Carr,
Aye.
Mitch Bishop. Mitch. Did he leave us?
He left his desk for a minute.
That's all right. We don't need them.
Okay.
Aye.
Marcella, okay. Jerry Jackson,
Aye.
Delia Zegas,
Aye.
Mark Danielson,
Aye.
Amanda Laners.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
All right. Nice having it.
All right.
Okay, we got to move on. What's next?
Steve.
Okay, and we have a proposal for a rate analysis from Steve Carter firm. I believe that's going to be necessary in order to move on with the proposal with the PER.
Got it.
Steve still here?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if Ken and Steve want to talk about this, how that plays out.
Sure, I'll go. So what we do is very similar to what you saw in the last process with the Sender and Company served in that role, and that is work with your team and especially JPR, your engineers, to work through the PER process and file all the necessary financial documents that go along with it. That does include a rate analysis, but it also includes working with the SRF and fine-tuning the package, if you will, as far as how the funding mix goes. And this is a dual path. So what we'll have to do is provide some analysis that shows different scenarios as far as funding this through the SRF, funding it through USDA Rural Development, and essentially showing a rate buy down, if you will, of different scenarios of different levels of grant funding. So also work with bond counsel on closing the bonds and all the post-bond closing documents that are necessary if it gets to that point. Obviously, if it doesn't get to that point, then, it's a time and expense type of agreement. So we'll just stop wherever the stopping point is and we'll be done.
Do we just need a motion to approve?
I believe so.
The executive committee met, we spoke about this item, and I'm confident in Mr. Carter, and I make a motion to engage Mr. Carter.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any questions?
Yeah, has there been a discussion in regards to dollar amount?
It's in the proposal, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't look at it. What is it?
It's an estimated range between 30 and 50,000 for the whole project, but again, it's time and expense. So whatever that number ends up being, I'm pretty comfortable that if it goes to the full project, we'll be in that 30 to 50,000 range.
Okay.
And that's with the second time discount, right? Because we're such a dedicated customer, Steve.
Come on. And we really like you, Steve.
All right, I'm sorry.
Honestly, the discount is on the monthly services. Those are definitely way below normal hourly rates. So
thank you, Steve.
Well, and so I'm assuming we have enough money for it. So that's part of the discussion. I'm assuming we do.
Yeah, it'll be part of the financing package along with, all the other professional fees.
Okay,
So we have a motion from Mitch, second from Marcella. Any more discussion? Are you ready for roll call?
Yep.
Okay, John Carr,
Aye.
Mitch Bishop,
Aye.
Marcella Kunstig,
Aye.
Jerry Jackson,
Aye.
Delia Zegas,
I,
Mark Danielson,
aye.
Amanda Leoners.
Aye.
There we go.
Okay, motion approved. Next item, major moves, money payments.
Yeah, sorry, we already talked about that.
Yep. Okay, moving on, 2022 meeting dates.
I did get a calendar from the maintenance lady, the building, for the building. She said Wednesdays and Thursdays are usually their busiest. So I guess if we want to change, we're going to have to look at Mondays or Tuesdays. And I'm not.
How does that jive
What-
with everyone?
What about the fourth Thursday, like today?
Okay, well, I've got, well, we got it today, I mean, because we're Zoom, so it didn't matter.
Right.
But like, this is March, and it says Tom Alvarez, Commissioners Meeting Room. Yes.
That's a judge.
Yeah, and then it's again on the 20th of next month. Redevelopment Commission, Commissioners Meeting. Oh, wait,
That's
Redevelopment
the 20th Sunday.
Wednesdays.
which, let's see,
Okay.
Wait,
She was saying April 20th.
yeah, March 20th.
March. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. You want the fourth one? In March, the 24th is PTABOA at 9:30.
That's the Property Tax Board of Appeals.
Okay, so that won't work.
Let's look at it this way, John. What days are you available besides the third Thursday?
Or Thursday.
Or the
Well,
fourth Thursday?
Well, I'm just gonna have to make something work. I mean, that's all there is
Do
to
you
it.
want to look at Tuesday? Is Tuesday work for everybody, or is that tough?
Tuesdays work good for me if we stay at 9.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
The third Tuesday, March 15th.
Or the 4th? Which one?
Talking about the 15th or the 22nd?
Right, right.
Either one works for me.
Yeah, I'll be out of town the third one, but the fourth one works for me.
Yeah, I'm good in the morning. For you.
Fourth is good for me.
Fourth is good.
Fourth is good. Everybody else?
Alia?
Let's just schedule it and stick to it because I'm going to be on spring break, but it doesn't matter. I'll make it for all the others.
So,
So Jennifer, is the 22nd of March at 9 a.m. available?
according to this one, yes, March 22nd is available at 9 a.m.
Okay.
That's the third Tuesday.
No, 4th.
Fourth.
Fourth Tuesday, yes, it's available.
Okay, sounds like we got a date.
So why don't we just try to schedule for those going forward? Are you guys good with that?
Fourth Tuesday
Yeah.
every month.
For you, Dahlia?
yes, it does, but I have a question. So are we gonna be hybrid after this or no?
I would think so.
Yeah, I would too. I agree.
What's that? What's hybrid mean? Are we doing it in a,
Zoom and in person.
yeah. Okay.
But remember, it depends on whether the governor ends the state of emergency on March 1st, which would not be surprising if he did. Maybe Amanda has a better sense of that, but from that point forward, we still have to have a majority of the board members in person.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we don't know which way the governor's gonna go, so let's just plan the 22nd and then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right.
Well, if they're all available for the 4th Tuesday, I'm gonna get them scheduled, so we have
Okay.
taken.
Sounds good.
Yep. Okay, anything else under that? Old business?
I gotta guess something. The Plan Commission, we met this past Tuesday, and we had a meeting with some home developers and builders. Jerry, Jennifer, I believe, was there 2 or 3 months ago.
Yeah.
They applied for a rezone, and they received that Tuesday night at the Plan Commission meeting. So, they were planning on developing, full build out, 300 houses, and utilizing the system, the force main on State Road 2 between Rolling and LaPorte, kind of by the old Par 3 golf course. And that's 170 acres that was rezoned Tuesday night. So that process is coming. I know Jerry wants to know the flow rates over there, what they're be using, but just want to let the board know, it's on their dime, and they're going to be coming in front of the commissioners for final approval for that rezone.
Okay.
But that should go smoothly, and then they're going to go through the plat committee and the preliminary and the final requirements via the Plan Commission for that subdivision.
So, Mitch, are you basically saying that we might be talking about this for more hookups?
Yeah, well, yeah.
And then
build out 300 single-family homes, market rate. So,
okay.
And John was there as well. So yeah, he
Yep. I approved it.
I approved it.
Okay.
I mean, it would be more hookups, more collection system, maybe more lift station. You get additional liabilities when you take on something like this too, when you're a sewer district.
Right.
So it's subject to the approval of this district. I mean, right? I mean, they're not they can't foist themselves on us. We'd have to make sure that we want to do it and we have the capacity, and that I presume we may want to make them responsible, obviously, for the cost, which may not be insignificant. So
they're going to take care of the costs. And like I said, we had a meeting 2 or 3 months ago, and Jerry and Jennifer, Ken was there, I think, maybe.
I was there.
Yeah. And it was discussed kind of what they need to do as far as the sewer. That's why we wanted to meet ahead of time. But they're in infancy. They just secured the rezone to get the ball rolling. So they will be in touch as the process. It's a process of getting that subdivision approved through our Plan Commission. It's probably going to take, from now, I would say another 3 months. So three months anyway, 3 or 4. So,
I think it only passed by one vote too. So
yeah, it did only pass through one vote for the rezone, but I'm not sure why, but yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it was a 5-4 vote for.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
But per Barry's conversation, it still has to come in front of us, right?
Yep.
Okay.
He's just making us aware.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we have to establish we have capacity to do it. We have the desire to take it. We need to look at, are there additional fees? Does it fit within the volume that we paid for to the city of LaPorte? Or is there additional capacity fee from the city of LaPorte? There's a number of questions the board needs to know answers to before we say yes or no.
Right. You think it would help them if we compile like a listing of stuff we would need? I know flow rates are big with that answer.
Yep. And of course, we want the infrastructure to conform to our standards.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a big one.
All right. Anything else under old business?
I had one I missed on phase 2 of Rolling Prairie. I've got the paper as-built. Is there a GPS as-built?
I don't think there's GPS as built. I have the electronic copy of the as built drawings. I can see if they've been shot.
I was looking at the 6 and 8 Depot Street question with the map, and it occurred to me that we haven't got any of the second phase added onto our map.
Okay.
The thing about that, Dan, is that our engineering design is all related to the same state plane coordinate system. So, we should be able to, we can definitely provide it electronically to Jerry, but we should also be able to if this, we probably at some point in time are probably going to need to develop a GIS system, an asset map for the district. Probably at this stage, probably not, but going forward, yes. But
yeah, I kind of thought a GPS coordinates were in our specs, that was a contractor responsibility, not that.
I think you're right.
And the map that I put together for phase 1, I do the same. My intent was to do the same thing for phase 2. And when we get to a GIS, that's what you need to start your GIS. So it's not lost labor.
Ian, are you going to follow up and see if that was in the contract for the GIS?
Yep, and if it is, I'll get a hold of Woodruff and have him get it to us.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right. Anything else under old business? I got to run, guys.
Yeah, one
Hey,
quick
question for Jennifer, real quick. Those power bills, how come some of them were $20, $40, and then it went to $1,000? What's the inconsistency there?
The various places where we're getting them from, the wastewater treatment plant, and then we've added the 5 new lift stations. So there's 5 different additional stations, right, Steve? And the various times when the payments are getting mailed in or ACH versus when we're getting them received. Like I just got in the mail today, 5 new invoices. And we just moved our meeting dates back. So now I need to get those to Steve so he can get the payments out because it's not going to make it till our next meeting. So.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know. Like they were very different. And so now I know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what I'd like to do is consolidate all those bills into a single billing and a single billing date so that we don't get them randomly throughout the month and have to write a bunch of different checks. So I'm going to try and make that happen next month.
That makes sense, Steve.
And just real quickly, I know it's been a while, but we're almost 2 hours already.
Yeah.
One more thing. Wednesday night, last night, redevelopment commission approved the sewer and water project on 300 North, 950 West, and 421. That was for $4.9 million.
Yeah.
So that contract was signed last night. So I know there was discussion in the past about rentals and all that good stuff. I don't know if that's still germane, if that's if we're even considering that any longer. But
We should definitely consider that.
yeah.
I mean, that's the first consideration, and maybe again, either the executive committee or it's on next month's board, but that's a I don't know whether political little p decision of this board. I mean, the legal part of it, certainly myself and Jim Myers could figure out, but the first step is, while that was being discussed a year ago, 2 years ago, that project has morphed and changed. And so we really haven't been, most of us, at the table for the redevelopment commission, for the county council. So I don't know how that discussion is going to be received. So we probably need some insight from people like Mitch, who have been deeply involved in that, to find out, is that something we should still pursue, or is the world changed now with regard to that decision?
We can have that discussion offline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we do that maybe at an executive board? Because I know that John's got to get out of here.
Yes.
I always thought we should.
It sounds like executive committee has a few things to go over, so I'll get that scheduled.
Sorry to interrupt, Jerry.
No, that's okay. It's probably a good conversation, executive committee.
All right, well, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you. Great meeting.
Yeah.
Hey, Mitch?